Before the passage from 1984 by George Orwell, in this scene, Winston faces interrogation by O'Brien, where pain becomes a weapon designed not just to break his body, but his mind as well. Do you remember? He went on, writing in your diary, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 plus 2 make 4? Yes, said Winston. O'Brien held up his left hand, its back towards Winston, with a thumb hidden and 4 fingers extended. How many fingers am I holding up, Winston? 4. And if the party says that it is not 4, but 5, then how many? 4. The word ended in a gasp of pain. The needle of the dial had shot up to 55. The sweat sprung out all over Winston's body. The air tore into his lungs and issued again in deep groans, which by even clenching his teeth, he could not stop. O'Brien watched him, the 4 fingers still extended. He drew back the lever. This time the pain was only slightly eased. How many fingers, Winston? 4! The needle went up to 60. How many fingers, Winston? 4! 4! What else can I say? 4! The needle must have risen again, but he did not. Look at it. The heavy, stern face and the 4 fingers filled his vision. The fingers stood up before his eyes like pillars, enormous, blurry, and seeming to vibrate, but unmistakably 4. How many fingers, Winston? 4! Stop it! Stop it! How can you go on? 4! 4! How many fingers, Winston? 5! 5! 5! No, Winston, that is no use. You are lying. You still think there are 4. How many fingers, please? 4! 5! 4! Anything you like, only stop it! Stop it! Stop the pain! Abruptly, he was sitting up with O'Brien's arm round his shoulders. He had perhaps lost consciousness for a few seconds. The bonds that had held his body down were loosened. He felt very cold. He was shaking uncontrollably. His teeth were chattering. The tears were rolling down his cheeks. For a moment, he clung onto O'Brien like a baby, curiously comforted by the heavy arm round his shoulders. He had the feeling that O'Brien was his protector, that the pain was something from the outside, from some other source, and that it was O'Brien who would save him from it. You are a slow learner, Winston, said O'Brien gently. How can I help it? He blubbered. How can I help seeing what is in front of my eyes? 2 and 2 are 4. Sometimes, Winston. Sometimes they are 5. Sometimes they are 3. Sometimes they are all of them at once. You must try harder. It is not easy to become sane. He laid Winston down on the bed. The grip of his limbs tightened again, but the pain had ebbed away and the trembling had stopped, leaving him merely weak and cold. O'Brien motioned with his head to the man in the white coat, who had stood immobile throughout the proceedings. The man in the white coat bent down, looked closely into Winston's eyes, felt his pulse, laid an ear against his chest, tapped here and there. Then he nodded to O'Brien. Again, said O'Brien. The pain flowed into Winston's body. The needle must be at 70, 75. He had shut his eyes this time. He knew that the fingers were still there, and they were still 4. All that mattered was to somehow stay alive until the spasm was over. He had ceased to notice whether he was crying out or not. The pain lessened again. He opened his eyes. O'Brien had drawn back the lever another time. How many fingers, Winston? 4. I suppose there were 4. I would see 5 if I could. I am trying to see 5. Which do you wish? To persuade me that you see 5? Or to really see them? Really to see them? Again, said O'Brien. Perhaps the needle was at 80, maybe 90. Winston could not intermittently remember why the pain was happening. Behind his screwed up eyelids, a forest of fingers seemed to be moving in some sort of dance, weaving in and out, disappearing behind one another and reappearing again. He was trying to count them, and that this was somehow due to the mysterious identity between 5 and 4. He knew only that it was impossible to count them. The pain died down again. When he opened his eyes, it was to see that he was still seeing the same thing. Innumerable fingers, like moving trees, were still streaming past in either direction, crossing and recrossing. He had shut his eyes again. How many fingers am I holding up, Winston? I don't know. I don't know. You will kill me if you do that again. 4, 5, 6. In all honesty, I just don't know. Better, said O'Brien. A needle slid into Winston's arm. Almost in the same instant, a blissful, healing warmth spread all through his body. The pain was already half forgotten. He opened his eyes and he looked up gratefully at O'Brien. Thank you.